Well, I think that the piece that I've chosen is called Initiation, and there is a process called initiation in the Yoruba tradition. I did have that piece. That piece was one of the ones that I chose. I think that was in 2003. I showed that one here at the Art of Living Black. It shows someone who is dressed in white, which is an initiate dresses in white, and there are various ritual objects in the painting, and it's also abundant with nature, images of nature in the painting.
I saw a documentary recently, and it was about, I think it was taken in Jamaica or Haiti or somewhere, and it was about that type of religion, the animist religion, or the voodoo kind of religion. Voodoo.
Voodoo is a word that Hollywood used to denigrate the religion, and all of that voodoo stuff is made up by Hollywood to create negative stereotypes about an African-based religion.
But what interested me is that in terms of inspiration, is that there was like a drumming that would go on, and it was almost the person was going into like trance. And
right.
it seemed like that was and in fact, it was this documentary was done by a dancer from New York or someone came down, and she thought of that as inspiration, where you're kind of getting out of your normal world and going into this trance, and that's like a experience of becoming inspired.
Well, they actually call that possession. Theoretically, I mean, it's much too much to go into in a few minutes, but it's a synopsis would be that it's called mounting. You're mounted by an Orisha comes and possesses the person, and the characteristics of that Orisha come through that individual. And
has that ever happened to you?
Yes, once.
Can you describe the experience?
One of the Orisha that's called a warrior. There are warriors as well within the Orisha pantheon. And I was at a Bimbe, which is a celebration that you start the year off at this ritual celebration. I felt this presence. It was very strong, very strong. Came out of nowhere and it was very unexpected. I understood what they were talking about, the feeling of feeling like you're possessed. I actually did feel like there was someone else in me.
Did you use that experience in any of your art?
Not really, but I do feel that it informs most of my artwork with regard to the Orisha. I do have a series called the Orisha. It's an abstraction series, and I did each Orisha with regard to their specific color. That particular Orisha that was with me was a dark green.
Okay.
This is my naked abstraction series. This came after
we're having 2 more artists in front.
Caribbean Crossroads, which was a series before this that I did when I went home to Haiti and wanted to do what I call social narrative. But I wanted to do something different, so I decided to do a takeoff on the nude and started doing nudes. This was the first nude, and it was, at the time I was thinking about classical nudes, and that's how that one emerged. And I thought I'd keep it lightweight because the trip to Haiti was really hard, and it was when Aristide was out and there was a lot of conflict in the street. It was really awful. And so I decided to do something light. I couldn't keep that in my mind too long because then I went to Behind the Veil because then all of this stuff was going on in the Taliban and they were talking about the plight of women. And so this one emerged. This is Behind the Veil. This is the plight of women in Afghanistan. And so then it kept progressing, and that was after Nina Simone passed away. And I was thinking about someone on NPR said she had a lot of attitude, and so I thought I'd do a piece that showed a lot of attitude, and that's that one. And then I went to this one, which is in the beginning. It's the idea of the womb as the cosmic place of origin where we all came from, and it started getting a little, I kept going back and forth trying to learn something from my process, and so I started less figurative and jumping back and forth, and then I went to this piece, which is thoughts of my grandmother, who was bought in the Grand Turks Islands, and my grandfather bought her from the English people that owned her. And so this one represents to me who we were, looking out at this frame of like a window, looking out at this urban environment, feelings of not belonging, of being isolated, and looking into this other window, which is ideas of the future and transitions. So then I kept getting more and more, trying to be more abstract, and so I went to this piece. I was listening to Miles Davis, Kind of Blue, and that one just popped out. And then these two pieces here, this is the dancers, listening to some Congolese music, and this one was listening to Odetta.
Thank you, Orlonda. Michael.